All right, everybody. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here. Potential tropical cyclone 16 has formed this morning. If you've been following some of my videos, you know we've been talking about the chance that they're going to use a PTC on this, and that's because it's not technically a tropical depression or a tropical storm yet, but it will be bringing tropical storm force winds to the coast of North Carolina within 48 hours. And so they pulled the trigger on that for today. I'll explain a little bit more of that coming up. Let's jump right into it. Let's get a bigger picture here. Let me show you here. Basically, you can see it's right off the southeast coast. It's a little over 300 miles to the east-southeast of Charleston, South Carolina. And you can see the forecast track going to the north. While I got you here, Nigel's up here. It's going away. We don't have to worry about that. And then we have, we've got, what's that going to be out here in the far east? This area right in here. That is a developing system, and in fact, if you look at it right now, it looks pretty good. So we're probably going to get something coming out of this later today as well, too. I'll talk a little bit about that coming up in just a little bit. All right. Let's focus now on potential tropical cyclone 16. This will likely be Ophelia later today, if not tonight and tomorrow. You can see pretty decent rains now, mainly just off the coast here of Florida and Georgia, but Myrtle Beach, even parts of South Carolina, North Carolina here, Ocean Isle, seeing a little bit of rain from that. The center is way down here under the, well, let me back up. Let me show you that. The center is way down where that L is, but it is not covered with convection right now. I mean, look at this. See that little spin right there? That's the center right in there, right? So it's not very well organized at this point, hence the reason why they went with the PTC. So here's the latest forecast track, and you can see that really this is a storm for Friday and Saturday for North Carolina, and then Saturday and part of Sunday for Virginia and the Delmarva and parts of Maryland. But obviously the highest winds are going to be here. This is Friday afternoon, 60-mile-per-hour winds near the center of this, just southeast of, say, Morehead CIty, southeast of Ocracoke, south of Hatteras. And then it moves on shore overnight, and I'll show you the time a little bit better. By Saturday morning, it's already, the center at least, is moving out of North Carolina and into Virginia, the Tidewater area, and then up towards D.C. You're talking Saturday afternoon. But it's weakening as it goes through, and the highest winds will be right along the immediate coast. And then after that, it kind of turns, and it's more of a rainmaker as it moves up through Philly, the Jersey Shore, and look at that, it kind of turns and moves right out over Long Island. So nothing terrible for them. Why is it a PTC? These are issued before it's a depression or a tropical storm, when it allows the National Weather Service and the Hurricane Center to issue tropical storm watches and warnings, because those are issued within 48 hours. Like a tropical storm watch means we could see tropical storm force winds within 48 hours. A warning would mean we would expect to see tropical storm force winds within 36 hours. So it has all the watches and warnings and the cones, the graphics, the whole 9 yards, and that's what I'll be showing you here today. So here we go. Here's the latest forecast modeling. It's just kind of coming in. The European and the GFS, we've been using this. But the hook, this turn to the west-northwest, or north-northwest is what we're kind of watching. But the closer that comes, the more obviously the Outer Banks will have to deal with it. Again, either way, this is not going to have enough time to get too strong. But it will be, you know, Friday, Saturday is going to be wet and windy in the eastern part of North Carolina. So the blue area here, from Cape Fear, basically Southport, all the way up to the Delaware, Maryland border, Delmarva area right here, just north of Ocean City, Maryland. That's basically Rehoboth, right? Rehoboth Beach, southward, all the way through Southport, Curie Beach, Carolina Beach, all those areas. Includes Wilmington, includes Morehead CIty, all the Outer Banks. Now that US 17 corridor, it's basically along and east of there. So if you're watching from my old stomping grounds there in New Bern, this is going to be a storm surge issue for you there in New Bern, about 2 to 3 feet. Will be more 2 to 4 feet along the southern Pamlico Sound. Here are the wind probabilities. So what this means is the chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, and that would mean anywhere from 39 to probably about 50-mile-per-hour winds with some higher gusts. But a steady wind of about 39 miles per hour or higher, yeah, you see the Outer Banks got a 70 to 80% chance, or 60 to 70% chance, I should say. Now, what I love this graphic, because this line right here means when will those winds get here. See the colors here? The colors indicate who has the best chance of seeing those highest winds. And obviously it's Morehead CIty, Harker's Island, just talking to a friend out there yesterday. Ocracoke, Ocracoke there, and then on up towards Hatteras, right? So those areas along the southern Outer Banks. And this will go up into the Pamlico Sound and all these areas right in here. Little Washington has a chance, but obviously down east Carteret County, right? Those areas, and then moving on up to Hyde County even. Okay, the timing, and this is key. So if you're getting ready for this, you want to have your preps done by I'd say mid-afternoon Friday, because this is saying that 8 p.m., the winds are really going to start to pick up and get close to 40 mile per hour. By 8 a.m., those 40 mile per hour winds are generally up here. So they're moving overnight Friday night and Saturday night. The winds are picking up. If you're along the eastern shore here, up in the Delmarva area, we're talking during the day on Saturday. So this will be a storm for you that gets stronger as the day wears on. And the storm will actually weaken, but the winds will increase for you as Saturday wears on. For my friends in North Carolina, including Wilmington, you're going to dodge most of this. You're not going to have a pretty Friday and Saturday. Saturday night might get better. It will get better. But this is mainly up towards Morehead CIty, and kind of took that out there so you can see where the colors are. All right, so let's time these winds. This is a product from the Hurricane Center. They're saying by 6 a.m. Friday, see this? You start to see possible 40 mile per hour winds. Now remember, we're thinking the core is going to get there in the evening hours. So this is 11 a.m. Wilmington, yeah, it's possible midday. Certainly Greenville, yeah, not necessarily. Little Washington, New Bern, yeah, during the day. The northern Outer Banks, Friday afternoon. The highest winds, guys, you get a severe thunderstorm warning. That's the orange you see down here. 58 mile per hour winds or higher. So most of this is, look, 20s and 30s. There'll be gusts in the 40s. Especially along the Outer Banks, right? This is a northeast wind, by the way, at this particular point. So that's Friday night at 8 o'clock. Now let's go through the overnight hours, and that was I was just showing you. For my friends in North Carolina, it's an overnight Friday night into Saturday morning. See the higher winds getting there before sunrise on Saturday morning? Beaufort, Morehead CIty, all the way down, right? And that will include Harker's Island, of course, Ocracoke, and then the problem with this is a northeast wind that goes east and then east-southeast, and that fills up all those creeks there, the Neuse River, Clubfoot Creek, Adams Creek. Those areas will see the flooding. Now, here's the wind as 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. You see it's starting to shrink a little bit, but that's a pretty good core wind right there of about 55 to 65 mile per hour winds with some higher gusts. We'll have to see if that holds. It's a small area, but it is a possibility. Obviously, up here in the Delmarva area, the I-95 corridor towards good old King's Dominion, we'll have about 30, 35 mile per hour wind with some higher gusts. This is Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and notice the orange is gone because the storm is weakened, but there's still the chance for tropical storm force winds of around 40 miles per hour in that yellow. All right, now let's talk forecast models. This is the GFS. These are the winds, and you can see by early Friday morning. This is 6 a.m. Look at the center way down here. And look at the winds at Hatteras, already gusting in the 30s, sustained almost to 30. Again, this is just one model. Gusts to near 30 in Morehead CIty. Same thing for Wilmington, mainly out of the north and northeast. And then watch as we go through the day. This is 4 o'clock on Friday. Gusts now in the 40s along the Outer Banks. Hatteras seeing the highest winds. It's just nothing. Hatteras, you know this, right? There's just nothing going slowing it down coming across the water in Hatteras Island. Now this is overwash territory, guys. That area south of Hatteras, Highway 12 area that's always getting repaved. There's a possibility that happens again. Morehead CIty winds to 30, gusts in the 40s by Friday afternoon. So if you're getting things ready, you need to be ready by early tomorrow morning. Friday morning, you want to get the preps done. Now let's go out to Saturday morning before sunrise. Look at the center. Now, this is just the GFS, the European similar, but you can see the winds are offshore for Wilmington, up through Onslow County. My friends there, keep an eye on it. It'll start onshore, but the winds early when they pick up on overnight, Friday night, and Saturday, they'll blow offshore, so it'll blow the water out. Meanwhile, the surge is coming up here in the Outer Banks, up in the Pamlico Sound, up in the Neuse River, early. And we're talking overnight, Friday night, into Saturday morning before the sun comes up. That's when you're going to see your worst flooding there. And then here we go with the winds by Saturday afternoon. All the winds for southeast North Carolina coming down. Even the Outer Banks will be coming down by that point. Water levels will be coming down as the wind turns to the west. That's as far as just surge goes, right? There will be some rain involved. There's the center west of Virginia Beach by 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Higher winds now, really from noon through about 5 o'clock, moving through the eastern shore, southern Maryland, but especially obviously out over in Ocean City, Rehoboth, those areas. And then this is early on the Sunday morning, just before sunrise, and everything is really starting to calm down. So Sunday, head to Bald Head Island, Rodney. I hear you. I think you're good. The southwest winds though on Sunday, so it's going to be choppy. Here we go with the European forecast model. Same position, right? Let's see what it says Friday morning. Winds starting to pick up during the day, early morning on Friday. So have all your preps done by sunrise, really Friday morning. Then there you go, 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. Look at Morehead CIty. Winds at 33, gust to 45, gust to 52 out on the Hatteras. Again, 4 o'clock on Friday. And then Friday night, here comes the center with some higher winds. Now, depending on how this, if this stays non-tropical, you'll have higher winds on the north side of it. If it transitions tropical, you think it will, I think these winds could be a little bit higher in here. And that would be overnight, Friday night, and Saturday morning. This is 5 a.m. So very similar to what the GFS says. 3 p.m., winds are all offshore. Storm surge is coming down, obviously looking good for Myrtle Beach, but still onshore up here towards the Chesapeake Bay, the mouth of the bay, Chicoutimi, all those areas up in Ocean City, and again, up into Rehoboth. So that is the European forecast model, actually very similar to the GFS, which is actually good news. Now, storm surge. Right now, what we're thinking is 2 to 4 foot of surge, and that includes these areas up into the Neuse River, right? And then all of these little creeks here. Clubfoot Creek, Adams Creek, because the wind's coming out of the northeast here. Typical, look, you're not new to this. You know that's what happens, and that will happen up to the north in the Albemarle Sound as well too. Now you get down towards Wilmington, even Onslow County. Onslow County could see 2 to 4, and that would be initially. That would be early. Really, it's overnight during the dark hours of Friday night and the Saturday morning. That's when you're going to see that there. After that, especially by noon, the winds, if the timing holds, the winds will be blowing offshore and the water will come down. Initially, it'll be about 1 to 3 foot surge here. And look, this is Thursday afternoon. I'm thinking late tonight and early tomorrow morning, these waters will be up here. The tides will be running high from Beaufort, really, Charleston, all the way up, especially towards Ocean Isle, Myrtle Beach, and those areas. All right, so those are the surge. It's actually it's a storm surge watch now for these areas. Likely go to a warning here later tonight. Rainfall. Now, rainfall shouldn't be too terrible. I will say that systems that move into, let me back this way far out. Systems that move into the Carolinas, these tropical systems, they tend to put, now you're going to get a lot of rain along the coast, but you see these reds and these purples? That's 2 to 4 foot of, 2 to 4 inches, excuse me, geez. 2 to 4 inches of rain. That's not terrible. The oranges in here, that's upwards of 5 to 6 inches. So there will be some spots in there that have 5, 6 inches. And a lot of times it's on the western side here when these tropical systems make landfall. That's the European view of it. The GFS forecast model, come on, hang in there with me. There it is. It has it a little bit further inland. So now you're getting out towards Raleigh in here, and you can see some higher levels. Usually you have a hurricane coming in something like this into eastern North Carolina. You tend to get higher rain levels on the northwest side here. And that's what the GFS is saying. Obviously, there'll still be some 5, 6 inch amounts down here towards Onslow, Carteret County, Jones County, those types of places, right? Craven as well, could see some spots. But I think overall, most of this is about 2 to 4 with some spots and up to about 5 inches of rainfall. Now, if I'm based out of Tampa now, I was in New Bern forever up there, but if you're watching from Tampa, the good news for us is that storm there, the wind spins like this, right? That means we get this cooler, drier air for the weekend. Rain cuts off. Temperatures top out only in the mid-80s, and lows will be in the 60s with low 70s along the coast. And it will be dry, especially Saturday and Sunday. Friday, I think we're basically dry Friday as well, too. So that's it. I hope everybody fares well with this. I don't think this is a terrible storm, obviously. I do think that you have to deal with it, of course, up there in the Carolinas. I'll keep updating you here, so don't forget to like and subscribe on my YouTube. And I'm on TikTok now. I did it. I finally went to TikTok. And, of course, Instagram and all that other good stuff on Facebook. All right, guys, have a great afternoon. I will see you back here later this evening with an update.